What is going on, guys? Coach Joe. In this video, I'm going to give you guys my free hypertrophy program and block. So I've been running several blocks for the last couple months. And first off, big shout out to Mike Israetel and the RP Strength crew. They've been my training partners kind of throughout this whole block. He helped me program this block because I needed to just get some knowledge and learn more about hypertrophy training. So I'm just going to dive headfirst in and explain all of the exercises, the movements, the reps, the sets, and give you guys something to try, especially during summer. You're trying to shred up a little bit. You want to put on some actual muscle size. This is a fantastic program to start with and run. So basically it's a 6-day split. Okay, so I train 6 days out of the week. Now you may say, whoa, 6 days is a lot. However, it's a lot different from strength training because the sessions typically are not as long. So I probably was in and out anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, probably towards the hour mark as the mesocycle continues and the training gets a little bit more intense, but you can pretty much fit all these in within 45 minutes, hour max, which is nice compared to a strength training session, which typically could be anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. So 6 days a week, not so bad. And the way it's laid out is basically a push, pull, and leg day, and then a second push, pull, and leg day with some slight adjustments, which you'll see in the movements and also the rep ranges as we go through that in the next part of the video. But I don't want to waste any time. You should obviously be subscribed to this channel. If you're not, do it right now. Right now. Hit the subscribe button. Yes. Or I'm going to come after you like Liam Neeson and take him. Just kidding. And we'll get on with it. So I have 2 days out of the week, which I actually have doubles. You can easily make this 1 day of just training or one session of training, but I broke it into 2. Now, like I said, if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do that. But on day 1, I have an AM and a PM session. So day 1 is going to be a low incline barbell press. So it's a chest press. We want to make sure that we don't have the bench up super high. So just a little bit of a low incline. Second movement is going to be cable flies. And when I first started this mesocycle, I had the cables a little bit higher on the cable position. Now, if you don't have cables, you can obviously switch that to dumbbells if you'd like to, but we prefer cables for that first block. And then dips, full range of motion. So something I noticed, and you'll kind of hear me say this at the end, is I just wasn't getting full range of motion with a lot of the exercises. You know, I'm used to doing strength training, trying to use a lot of body English, put up as much weight as possible. But when it comes to hypertrophy training, we really want to dial it back, get full range of motion, make sure that we're controlling the eccentric portion of the movement and not using body English, because it's very hard to gauge our improvement or the proper regulation with our stress if we are kind of all over the place. On some days we use a lot of body English, some days we don't use body English. So that's why just across the board, no body English when you're doing hypertrophy training and these mesocycles, because it's just a lot easier to gauge your performance and your intensity and results. So that's day 1. On the PM, we got barbell curls. Okay, we have lateral raises with a pause. So dumbbell lateral raises, and make sure you pause for a second count. Should be a deliberate pause that you can notice that in your training. And then barbell upright rows. Okay, so that's the AM and the PM. Day 2, we're gonna do our pull day. So we have rows to chest. So when we do that, we're gonna make sure that we touch our chest with the barbell. The barbell returns all the way down to the ground every time. And then once we get to the proper rep range and reps in reserve for that, we're gonna switch it to rows to belly superset. And with the rows to belly, they don't touch the ground. So it's just like a typical bent over barbell row. From there, we have lat pull downs, regular grip. Then we're gonna go to barbell shrugs, and we have wrist curls. Now for some of these movements, totally recommend using straps, just because it's gonna help give you that overload that you want without your grip being an issue. So on my pull days, I'm using straps, and just trying to get the proper technique down and not have my grip become an issue. And that is day 2. Day 3 is gonna be our first leg day. And since, legs are pretty taxing on the body, we only have 3 movements typically for our leg day. And the first one's gonna be hack squat. So I got a nice new addition hack squat in the last couple of months here, so we've been using that a lot. Then it goes to barbell squat with a pause. That's gonna be a high bar squat for quad development. And we're pausing in the bottom for a second, just for that little count. And then we have hamstring curls to hit the hamstring. So day 1 for legs is gonna be primarily focusing on the quads and very quad dominant, whereas you'll see later it's gonna switch to more of a hamstring focus. So that's the first portion of the week. All right, day 4 is gonna be another AM and PM session. So we're gonna start off with push day 2 with a close grip bench, okay, regular barbell bench. Then we're gonna go to skull crushers. You can use the barbell for that, and that's what we recommend. And then we're gonna go incline dumbbell curls to get some arms in there. And then we're gonna do a shoulder superset. So for the shoulder superset, you're going to basically do as many front raises as possible, to then as many lateral raises as possible, and then bent over rear delt raises. And you go until just about failure, so a couple of reps left in the tank. Then you rest a little bit, and then you hit it again, okay? And I'll explain that for how many sets we do in the next portion of the video, but you wanna be just cranking out lots of volume for that. And then PM, now a lot of people ask me, where do I put my strongman training in with this program? So on my PM session, I put a slot in for any strongman training, and typically I'm looking to work light and also on technique, but just keeping the movement fresh in my, my mind, my body, and that allows me to still practice, the skill that I will be competing in down the road without getting too rusty, but it's not the main focus because the main focus is gonna be the hypertrophy training. So that's day 4. Now day 5 is gonna be our pull day 2, and on this we kind of flip the order of movements that we had last time. So we're gonna start with pull downs on this day. We're gonna keep a regular grip. And then we're gonna go to bent over rows. Now this is gonna be regular barbell bent over rows. Then we're still gonna do our shrugs, and we're still gonna do our wrist curls, okay? So we're getting the traps as well as the forearms in there. So day 2, which is for legs, is gonna be stiff leg deadlift. So now we're focusing more on the hamstrings as the primary movement of that day, putting most emphasis in the hamstrings. And then we're gonna go back to hack squats. And then we have a lunge plus either body weight or dumbbell, depending on how advanced you are. But you're gonna do a set of lunges, and then it's gonna go right into a superset of body weight squats. And if you can add a little bit of weight, add some weight. But first week, I would say do it as this because it's pretty brutal and your body's still getting used to this new stimulus that you're putting on it. So that's pretty much the layout of the week. I'm gonna go over the reps and the sets next. Which will just be easy, and you guys can plug this into an Excel sheet, a Word document, write it down on a piece of paper, whatever you want, but it's 8 total sessions per week if you count the PMs that I have in here. Like I said, you don't have to do the PMs. Obviously, I'm a strongman competitor, so if you're not doing strongman, you don't have to do that. You can easily throw that as a conditioning session or just take it out entirely. Or you can combine it all as one day. That's totally up to you. I like having a little bit of rest, being able to get some food in before my sessions and then come in and get after it. But one thing I mentioned in the beginning that we always want to focus on is full range of motion with all the exercises, getting as much depth and as deep as possible. Obviously, if you have some restrictions, just go to the deepest level of that range of motion that you possibly can, and hopefully over time it'll increase. Control the eccentric. We don't want to be wild, and we want to make sure that we are focusing on the eccentric just to get as much gains as possible. And like I said, no body English. The more body English we put, the harder it is to gauge how much we're actually using the muscle versus how much we're using momentum. So if you don't do that, it's very easy to tell if you're getting stronger or not and how many reps you're actually hitting with that prescribed weight. So write it all down, okay? Take a screenshot, pause the video if you need to, and now we're gonna head over to the reps and sets. All right, guys, before we get on to the sets and intensity that we want to prescribe, we're just going to talk about rep ranges for each of these exercises. And there is a range just because everybody's a little bit different. I found that I respond differently in certain rep ranges for certain muscle groups. So just some general guidelines. And typically what I like to do is stick to the upper end of the prescribed rep range. And then as the weeks go on and the intensity goes on, obviously those reps will probably drop because we're adding more intensity. And then we probably want to fall towards the bottom end of the spectrum. But I'm just going to run through it with you guys, and you guys can write this down. So on day 1 for the low incline barbell press, we went 8 to 10 reps. Cable flies, 10 to 15 reps. Dips, full range of motion, 15 to 20 reps. PM, we got barbell curls, 8 to 10. Lateral raises with a pause, 10 to 15. Upright rows, 10 to 15 as well. Day 2, row to chest with that superset, 8 to 10 reps. And then obviously just put whatever you get for your row to your belly superset. Pull downs, 10 to 15 reps. Shrugs, 15 to 20 reps. Wrist curls, 15 to 20 reps. Day 3, we have hack squats, 10 to 15. Pause squats, 8 to 10. Leg curls, 10 to 15. Day 4, close grip bench, 10 to 15 reps. Skull crushers, 10 to 15. Incline dumbbell curls, 10 to 15. And then the shoulder superset that I had mentioned, 15 to 20 reps. Day 5, pull downs, 15 to 20, rows, 15 to 20, shrugs, 20 to 25, wrist curls, 20 to 25. Day 6, RDLs, 8 to 10, hack squats, 15 to 20, lunge in the squats, 15 to 20. So a little bit higher volume on the second half of the week with some of those variations just to help push that a little bit. And then all of these workouts I actually made videos on later on my YouTube channel, so I should have been linking all of these throughout the video. So if you have any questions, just look up if it's a pull day, press day, or a squat day, and it shows me doing the movements prescribed in this program if you have any questions about that. So let's head on over to the sets and the intensity prescribed. Okay guys, so I want to keep this really simple when it comes to sets and the intensity, aka the reps in reserve, and that's how we're going to use our auto regulation principle in this. So for the sets, for day 1, 2, and 3, week 1, we're going to start off with 2 sets. So this week should be, you just start to get a pump in your training, but then you're going to dial it back because we're going to keep that progressive overload as the weeks go on in the mesocycle. So week 1, 2 sets, week 3, 3 sets, week 3, another set of 3 sets, and week 4, 4 sets. And this is going to be the exact same throughout day 1, 2, and 3. Okay, when it comes to the reps in reserve, we're going to do week 1, 3 reps in reserve. So if the rep range calls for 10 reps, you're going to work up to 10 reps and you should be able to have 3 more in the tank approximately. Then week 2, we're going to push the intensity, so we only have 2 reps in reserve. Then week 3, we only have 1 rep in reserve. And week 4, we have 0 reps in reserve. So we're going all out on that 4th week because we're trying to earn our deload week for the next block. So that's going to be the same all the way through day 1, 2, and 3. Same principles are going to apply for day 4, 5, and 6. So just keeping this as simple as possible. You have your sets, week 1, 2 sets, week 2, 3 sets, week 3, 3 sets again, week 4, 4 sets, all the way down for day 5 and 6, and then the same RIR as we did for day 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that is how we're going to get our sets in and then gauge how many or how intense our session should be with RIR or reps in reserve. All right, guys, so this was an example of what I had done. It worked very well for me personally, and I think it's gonna work for a lot of you guys. And I think hypertrophy training is a necessary step when it comes to maximizing strength gains down the road when you get back into strength training. And I feel very confident in what I'll be able to put up in the future when I get back into strength training because I took the time to do this hypertrophy programming. But add it in, see how it works for you. You know, take some of these principles and obviously adjust to whatever you have to. If rows aren't your thing, switch it out, okay? If you like to do a different bench variation or squat variation, swap those things out, plug and play it to you guys if you would like. But once again, Dr. Mike Israetel helped me out with this programming. You know, RP Strength has tons of hypertrophy programming. They're like, that's their thing. At the same time, I have programs on my website, zashstrength.net as well. And the hypertrophy program is the #1 selling program at this time. And it's just a really good program to throw into your training. So if you don't want to do all the work and you want a longer program, check out my website or RP Strength website or any other hypertrophy program. There are plenty of options out there, and I know a lot of them are pretty similar, but you want to make sure that you have the basics down and you want to run this just to get the increased muscle tissue size, and then that's going to translate over to when you get back into strength training. But make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends or whatever. This is me being a little bit more nerdy, doing the whiteboard talk type stuff. But until then, stay lean, mean, strength machine, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.